sweet peaches. I'm jumping into the beginning of this video to say I get a little spicy with the fucking curses and stuff in this video, and I just want to say, yeah, if you don't like cursing, then you might get offended. I took a little break and I started watching Mia Stav Cakes on YouTube, and she did a video where she was talking about like rage bait videos, and she was like, how can people be that dumb? And then she's like, oh, you're not dumb. And I'm like, I just cursed a bitch out. So I thought I would jump on and say, yeah, I cursed a bitch out in this video, and you know what, sometimes y'all deserve it. So anyway, enjoy.
GetLoveDreamingBeach.com.
I'm planning to make a video going over John's niece's testimony, which was reported on by a reporter. And I was going to read the article. I am going to do that, but I'm making a little bit of tofu ramen vegan soup. Tofu ramen bok choy vegan soup. And I really just I felt compelled to get on and to speak to this ridiculous comment that somebody left saying that I'm a woman hater. They found me when I was talking about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and liked me then. But now that I think Karen is guilty, I'm a woman hater. A self-loathing woman hater, and they'll never watch another video of mine again. And I said, good riddance to bad rubbish. But then I thought, you know what? People who believe that Karen is, in my opinion, people who think that Karen is innocent are willing to believe wild speculation, defense talking points, that in order to believe those talking points, you have to be willing to suspend all reasonable doubt. You have to be willing to believe that 60 plus people are all lying to frame Karen Reed. You have to believe that everything that Karen said that incriminates her somehow isn't true, but all the things that everybody else says that incriminates her, like her own words, her own behavior, her own actions, her own text messages, her own phone calls. We can ignore all the evidence that we don't like because it makes Karen seem guilty. But all the evidence, that's not really evidence, all this wild speculation, all these crazy plot lines that literally make no sense. Logistically, they make no sense. Logically, they make no sense. Motive-wise, they make no sense. No one has any reason why Brian Albert would have killed John, why Colin Albert would have killed John, why Brian Higgins would have killed John. And even, to me, the very, very lame trying to make fetch happen, saying that because Karen reached out to Brian, unbeknownst to him, she was going to be doing this without his desire or consent for her to do that. And then they were texting for 9 days. You're telling me that a man who had no initiation of this text conversation, no understanding of where it was coming from or why, was pushing back on her despite saying, you're hot and you're smart. You're hot and you're smart. That didn't change the fact that he was extremely suspicious of her and her motives and her intentions. and told her that multiple times, pushing back on her. And you have to be willing to suspend logic. Okay, I can read the comment now that I'm back at my desk with my soup. So the person wrote about Burgess. Yes, he was doing that over 10 years and over 10 years lying about his credentials. So this person thinks, like I said, some people are going to believe that, like Alessi said, that Burgess was actually trying to represent that he had a bachelor's degree that he didn't have. And while a 4-year degree is meaningful, it's not as if it doesn't mean anything. As I've already stated, when you are working in a field where a bachelor's degree is not a requirement to get the job, and then you get the job and then you're doing it, 4 years of experience on the job is very often equivalent, if not much better, than a 4-year degree at a university. So what I was saying is that there's that dog barking again. The new neighbor has this guy out there doing work, and he's had this dog tied up. And the dog's barking for like an hour, and I was getting really annoyed. And then he finally stopped, and now he's right back at it. It's like a little cockapoo dog tied up on the concrete outside. Like, yeah, it's in the shade, but I don't think that's that kind of life that dog's supposed to have. Anyway, so I feel that Burgess's response about he is pursuing it, he put it on hold because of work, family life, etc., and it's not a requirement. So you're saying, yes, he was doing that over 10 years and over 10 years lying about his credentials. Do you think he won't lie in a trial over a quick buck? Yes, I think he would not lie in a trial over a quick buck, because that is illegal and that would be very bad to do. And I mean, yes, people do give their opinions. Sometimes an expert will say what they were paid to say because they can finagle the data to make it seem like that. But I felt that he was credible. He has 700 hours of study. So just because it wasn't in a specific university where he got that piece of paper that said you did it, how is that not actual credentials and experience? 10 years. You said it in your own comment. 10 years that he's been working in this field, in a field that he did not have to have a bachelor's degree to get the job. So where's the lie? His old LinkedIn from 10 years ago that said he was pursuing a bachelor's? You obviously are biased. You're obviously not listening to the prosecution because you only heard what the defense said, and you seem to think it's okay to just completely discredit whatever the prosecution said. Oh, now he screams, "Shut up." See, I hate that. This is the same guy. I'm sidebar. This guy threw all his fucking garbage. It was bags of soil, so it was like empty plastic bags that still had some dirt in it, and he shoved them into my recycle bin, like an obvious recycle bin with recycling in it, and he shoved his fucking garbage into my bin. So I was like, no. I threw the shit on the ground, and then when I saw him in his fucking minivan, I was like, excuse me, but I think you might have put your garbage in my bin, and I just want you to know those are my bins. Plus, if you put garbage in a recycling bin, the recycling won't take it. So, he was like, well, I'm not from here, I didn't know. And he came, he grabbed the stuff and he threw it in his car. Then the next week, I had my recycle bin, same recycle bin, on my curb, and it didn't get picked up. And I was like, what the fuck? Why didn't they come get it? And then I looked in it a little later, and somebody had thrown a fucking plate of chicken and rice open into my recycle bin. Now, of course, I don't know who it was. I didn't see anybody, but that's very bizarre. It's never happened before. And, because it was so close to the time that the other thing had happened, I just thought, maybe it was him. Maybe he was like, fuck this bitch, and threw his plate of food in there. I don't know. Okay. Then the next few days, I was in the backyard with my son, and he was in the backyard of the neighbor's house. He's not the owner. He's like doing work. He was back there, and I was back in my backyard with my son, and I was like, hi. And he like was looking dead at my face and didn't smile, nothing. And I was like, hello? Nothing. Dead ass stared at me, stone face, said nothing. I was like, that's creepy. Okay. Now he's got his fucking dog tied up outside on the concrete in a dirty spot. Like, it's under a table, but the dog has been fucking barking for an hour. He finally stopped, and then he started again, and he was like, shut up. So I'm like, I think this guy's an asshole. Anyway, back to the asshole in my comments. So the next part they said was, I started watching you when you were dissing Blake Lively. I thought you all about defending innocent men. It turned out you just hate women. Women equal guilty for you. Never watching you and your self-loathe again. First of all, you stupid bitch, I was not dissing Blake Lively. I was talking about the facts in a lawsuit where Justin Baldoni is defending himself against a woman who falsely accused him of sexually harassing her. So get your fucking facts right, you stupid fucking bitch. And like I said, this is such a pathetic comment. So because I think Karen Read is guilty, I'm a woman hater. LOL, you sick fuck. Oh, you're sick. Sometimes women are guilty. Are you a man hater? People who think Karen Read is innocent believe wildly speculative conclusions, I'm reading over there, based on defense talking points while ignoring all the cold, hard evidence against her, including her many own self-incriminating statements. So only natural you, dumb bitch, would jump to wildly false conclusions about me too. LOL's good riddance to bad rubbish. I guess I'm in that kind of mood today. So yeah, I just wanted to pop on and say I did expect that talking openly about the fact that I think Karen Read is guilty when it seems like 80% of the creators and commenters out there are very pro Karen Read and very anti-prosecution. It's only expected that I would get some dumb, stupid comments like that. But I just wanted to call it out and be like, you're dumb, you're stupid. And I mean, it's so insane to say I'm a woman hater because I think Karen Read is guilty. I think there's a lot of women out there who are terrible, bad people. Like Wendy Adelson, she's a guilty bitch getting away with murder. She should be arrested. And Shanna Gardner's probably a guilty fucking murderer. And Corey Richards, probably a guilty fucking murderer. Erin Peterson in Australia, the fucking mushroom murderer, probably a guilty white fucking woman, fucking murderer. Guilty. Does that mean that every white woman is a fucking murderer? No, I don't call myself white because white is a social construct. And it was created by racist people who were trying to create divisions so that they could further demoralize, oppress, enslave, destroy other cultures. And so whiteness is just a fake, racist construct. So I'm pale, I'm pink. But, yeah, I fucking dislike strongly murderers. And if you're a woman and you're a murderer, I fucking don't like you. And if you're a pale woman and you're a murderer, I fucking don't like you. If you're any other type of person, culture, language, country, whatever you want to call it, and you're a murderer, I don't like you. It's just the way it is. I like to talk about the facts and the evidence and weigh it in my own way of looking at things with insight, logic, reason and deciding what I think is true, just like you get to do. So you believe the defense. That doesn't make you a man-hater, does it? Do you hate John O'Keefe? Do you think that he doesn't deserve justice? Do you hate his family? Do you hate his niece and nephew? Speaking of, I will discuss in a separate video. I'm going to read the article that I saw that somebody had written in reporting on the niece's testimony. The nephew did not testify. The niece is now 17 years old. The nephew is 14 years old. They were about 14 and 11 at the time, give or take, or 13 and 10, something like that. So I'll be making that video. I have work to do for a client, so I might not make that video until tomorrow, which is Monday, May 26th, Memorial Day, and there's no trial tomorrow. So I might just make that video tomorrow so I can do the client work I have to do tonight. And I'll put that out on Monday so you guys have something to watch on Monday since there's no trial. All right, so I just wanted to say thank you so much again to Jay Wetzel. Thank you for being here. I'm shouting you out again. Thank you to Paul Ratcliffe. Thank you to Let Me Reflect, although I haven't seen you lately since I said that some of your comment was speculation and you seem to get annoyed at that. And I haven't seen you back since, but hopefully you'll be back as well. Jimbo123, Paula Ellis. Thank you. Thank you so much, Paula. You are awesome. And actually, Paula, thank you. You recommended, let me roll back and see if I can find your comment. Let's see, where did it go? Tony Brewski, you recommended to check out. I did check him out. He's pretty good. I mean, he got a few little things wrong. You know, like he said that the niece was 14 now and that she was 10. But, you know, he was just reversing like who he thought was older. The niece is older. The nephew testified last trial, but not this trial. The niece testified this trial. So, like I said, I'm going to do that separately. There's a guy out there mowing. I'm waiting for my son to come back to the car. He has a band that he practices with now at his friend's house. And the dad had said to pick him up at 3:15, but then he texted me saying, can you come at 2:30? I don't know. But the friend has to go to do some practice, so some other practice somewhere else, so maybe he realized he needed more time, I don't know. But anyway, so there's a man across the street mowing the lawn, and I thought I would just pop back on just to add a few more thoughts about, you know, I don't mind if people have different opinions. In fact, I love that. That's part of what makes life amazing. But what I do think is annoying is when people, there's a man walking right by my window. When people think that their opinion is the only opinion that you can have, or if you don't have their opinion, that somehow you're, you know, like this person saying, oh, because, like, equating the fact that because I think Karen Reed is guilty, how do you jump to you hate all women? Like, what the fuck? Like, that makes no sense. Here's my home now. Anyway, I just wanted to add that I think it's so crazy to take that kind of stance because somebody has a different opinion. For example, Emily D. Baker and Peter Tragos, two of my all-time favorite lawyers on YouTube who I was a subscriber to, like a member, for a couple of years now for both of them, and I just don't agree with them in this case. They're looking at the evidence in a different way. That's their right. And I do think that they're being influenced by the chat. Again, I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not watching every video of theirs. I'm not listening to every word, but I still will listen to some of their things. And, you know, I don't not like them anymore. I'm not going to like suddenly shit all over them because they happen to have a different opinion than I do in this particular case. And sometimes we can vet people out of our lives exactly in this way. So while I started this video talking about specifically this one person who commented on my video, it's like, I'll never watch another video of yours again, you self-loathe. Like, okay, fucking psycho. I don't need a crazy bitch over here. I don't need people who, you like my work on one day, but then because I slightly disagree with you, or I have a completely different opinion than you in one instance, you're just going to like turn around and make personal attacks and make these wild, quantum leaping, wildly crazy conclusions. Again, like I said, going from A to Z and forgetting the whole entire alphabet from B through Y, and like every piece of evidence and like every reason, like everything, you just go from A to Z and you forget about everything in the middle that needs to correlate, correspond. So somebody like that, I don't care. And the fact that this person even said like, oh, I liked you when you were dissing Blake. Like, are you 12? Maybe they're 12, like they could very well be a child or just somebody who's just not at the same intellectual place that I'm at. And so they have a whole different way of processing things, and that's fine. A lot of people are going on like the pure drama of this, and obviously Karen has poured millions and millions and millions into a PR stunt and her defense team, all of the storylines and the plot lines, and like I said, the straw man, the red herring, the third party culprit who is loosely named, but and vague insinuations of possible maybe why, and like there's no real facts involved in these supposed other people who killed John and why. And it's like his friends, his colleagues, the people whose kids were friends with his kids, like why would they want this man dead? It makes no sense. There's no evidence to hold it up except like these vague, they got the Alberts sold their house. I mean, I would sell my house if my friend was killed on my lawn. I wouldn't want to live there. And then they say because they got some of the floor changed in the basement that they must have killed John down there and changed the flooring and got rid of the dog and like sold the house. It's like, sometimes people, like dogs, don't do well in families. Sometimes dogs need to be rehomed. Like sometimes people get their flooring changed, especially if they're about to sell their house, and if they're about to sell their house and somebody said the house was on the market beforehand, so maybe they really wanted to sell the house anyway, and then this happened and it was like, okay, now we really need to sell the house. And then usually people get things fixed up on a house before they sell it. So I don't know, if they wanted to sell their house before this even happened and then this happened, that would be even more of a catalyst to move them to get out of there and then fix the house up before they got out of there. So I wanted to just take a look. This is the house, 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Massachusetts. And it's a large 5-bedroom house, nice house with a big yard. Like I said, 100 by 75 feet minimum. 5 bathrooms, 4 baths. Okay, it's a nice house in a nice neighborhood. So I wanted to see. So it was listed for sale in November of 2022, which is like 11 months after it happened. Then it sold in March. And it looks like they had bought it in 2010. So it hadn't been listed for sale before. Sometimes people put their house on the market, then they pull it off. But according to this, it was listed for sale in November of 2022. John passed on January 29th of 2022. So this was the same year that it happened, but in November. And then it looks like they got a buyer by February, and by April it was sold. So I just wanted to see if there was evidence of they were trying to sell it prior to the whole thing happening. According to this, it looks like average timing, everything happened. They were probably dealing with that, then decided to move. Plus Karen Reed had Turtle Boy and whatever, her whole PR campaign out there about her innocence. And the Alberts were getting a lot of hate and being bullied. So with their friend dying on the lawn, the fact that they didn't feel safe there, and all of the reasons, it only makes sense to me that they would have moved when they did. And it doesn't in any way make me believe that they were murderers or covering it up. And again, with the dog, how would getting rid of the dog help them in any way? Doesn't make any sense. My opinion. Even Dr. Russell, the so-called bite expert, testified that you cannot match up a dog's teeth to a bite mark. So even if it was a dog bite or a dog scratch, which I don't believe it was, how would getting rid of their dog help them in this case? Like, the things that people cling to, oh, you got your basement floor fixed, you got rid of your dog, therefore that's evidence of a cover-up of a murder. Like, what are you talking about? Like, yes, I can see if somebody did a crime in a basement and they replaced the floor to cover it up. That could be a feasible thing, but it just doesn't make any sense when you take it in the context of everything else. And getting rid of the dog wouldn't help them in a case or against get out of there, and then fix the house up before they got out of there. Those things seem to make sense. They follow logic. They make, one foot after the other, and you can follow along. This whole idea that Karen Reed dropped John O'Keefe off to a party with people who cared about him, who were friendly with him. It was festive and joyful. And he walked into that, and then they murdered him and threw him on the lawn right where she dropped him off to frame her. It's like, it's so borderline personality disorder, histrionic, delusions of grandeur, everybody's out to get me, paranoia. Like, it doesn't sound true. Doesn't have any evidence to back it up. Your evidence to back it up is that somebody butt dialed somebody, and then Brian Higgins got rid of his cell phone somewhere, where he was literally talking about in the chat, in the texts between him and Karen, he was talking about how he rides through there and he has access to that because he used to be a combat Marine, whatever he said. I don't remember exactly. It was something about combat and a combat vet. And so he has access to this and he can go to the shop and, and so he had already established that he made it a habit to drive through there in his text messages with Karen. So to, again, conflate, everything is take this little nugget of morsel. He got rid of his cell phone in an FBI base or whatever, or military base. But then you look at the facts. Well, he literally said that he goes through there all the time because he can and he likes it and whatever. So that's where he got rid of his phone. If I'm wrong and I'm misspeaking and he got rid of his phone somewhere else, not there, then I'm wrong about that, okay? Again, I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind correcting myself when I'm wrong. I don't mind changing my opinion when some new information comes in. They're trying to say, because Trooper Proctor in a video was seen looking at the taillight, which was broken, he must have broken the taillight instead of what I think is more logical, which is, of course, he was looking at the taillight because he's like, what the fuck is broken? There's a man dead. It looks like he got hit. She said, I hit him. Look, there's a broken taillight. That makes sense. But the idea that, okay, so Trooper Proctor knew Chris and Julie Albert and their son, Colin Albert. He knew through his sister, Courtney, And apparently he had texted Julie Albert to see if she could babysit his kid 10 days before John O'Keefe's death. So he knew the Alberts, but he didn't know John O'Keefe, and he didn't know Karen Reed. The point that I'm getting at is that, yet again, I will say what I keep saying, that I believe that the defense is taking these little tiny points of information and then spinning off, conflating it, jumping from A to Z, as if they could just jump, as if you can just make a conclusion from one little data point and then leap to, again, a wild conclusion with no evidence to say that Trooper Proctor would have wanted to frame Karen for the murder of John O'Keefe because he was friends with the Alberts family. That's just not enough. That is not enough to go off of. You knew this person, therefore you did this whole thing, and there's no evidence of it. And even people trying to say, well, he's former Trooper Proctor. He got fired for his misconduct. Yes, his misconduct of sending nasty texts about Karen, which was wrong and inappropriate, and that's why he got fired. He didn't get fired for planting evidence. He didn't get fired for framing an innocent woman, because those would be criminal charges. So many people in these comments claim that Karen is going to get off and that everybody else, all these 50, 60 people who they claim did it all, are going to go down, are going to get arrested and all that stuff. And I think you're delusional. I think if those people were going to get arrested, they would have been arrested. Just like I say with Wendy Adelson in the Dan Markel case. At this point, I do believe that Wendy got away with murder. And I don't think they're going to arrest her. I just don't. I don't believe, and it's kind of like something that Emily D. Baker says, where she said the other day in a video I was watching that sometimes you know that somebody did the thing. You know it, but you don't have the actual evidence where you can bring it to trial and prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And so in those cases, you don't prosecute because you can't. Now, I don't believe that that's true in the case of Wendy, because a little bit of research I did online, I was able to find a bunch of reasons why it seems like she's guilty. And I think if you were to push further and deep dive and had the resources to actually get real evidence, you could and you would. And why they haven't done that? Well, there was a whole bunch of political reasons and all these things that pushed it. Now it's been, well, let's see, he died it's been like 11 years. So evidence fades, witnesses die or fade away, memories fade. Like, a lot of stuff is a lot harder to prove 11 years after the fact. So do I think that Wendy Adelson is ever going to get arrested at this point? I don't. I think she's gotten away with the murder of her ex-husband and got everything she wanted from that murder. She got the money, she got to move, she got to be by her family, she got to not have to worry about all the things that he wanted to do, raising the children. She got everything she wanted. And if somehow she ends up arrested, well, whoa, shiver me timbers, I will be shocked. Because at this point, they let that bitch go, in my opinion. But anyway, back to Karen Reed and the Jen McCabe, Carrie Roberts, Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Nicole Albert, Julie Albert, Chris Albert, Kevin Albert, the whole Alberts, and the Colin Albert, and all these people who supposedly framed this woman. For what reason? For what purpose? You can't say why, because there's no why. Can't show any evidence of it because there is no evidence. Negative evidence is not evidence. A negative is not proof of something. Butt dials is not proof of murder. You can't prove that somebody murdered somebody because they butt dialed somebody. So, you know, and again, Alessi was talking about the 20 seconds difference, and, you know, and he was saying his opinion, 1 second matters in this case. 1 second off can throw everything off. But what Brennan came back with, the prosecutor, said, actually, we've had a range from day one, and we've never changed that. We've always talked about the range, and just because we have somebody coming in who's further investigating, deeper investigation, is able to say, well, within this range, we pinpointed down, we think that this smaller range is accurate, similar to the circles of where John's phone was pinging. There was the black circle showing it was outside the whole night. Then there was another circle, a white circle, was showing that it might have gone in the house. And I don't remember if it was Alessi or Jackson or Yannetti saying, you know, why didn't you show the white circle in your presentation? And he said, well, the black circles were high quality pings or high accuracy pings. There was a bunch of pings, ping, 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 ping. And then we whittled it down to the high accuracy pings. And that's where it was. So again, there's a range of information, and then you get closer and more detailed and more precise and accurate. That's not changing your story. That's honing in and refining. It's polishing something. It's clarifying. It's making it more succinct, more precise. So, of course, the defense, which is conflating every little thing they can, every loose thread, and trying to scream at how all of these things show corruption. I don't agree. I don't agree. All right, see you later. Bye. We'll see you next time.
CatLoveDreamingPeach.com